And every time I took on another contract, another client, I'm like, this is the last one. I swear I'm getting out. And then at the end of it, I was still no closer to what I wanted to do. But the problem is mindset-wise.
Welcome to Her Money Club Stories. We do not talk about budgets, retirement, or the hustle and grind here. We talk about money, time, and energy freedom. We are here to reimagine our relationship with money, to collaborate and celebrate other women who are doing the same. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to explore your passions and monetize your skills and talents and what lights you up? Can you even make money and a living that kind of life? You can. Her Money Club allows you to explore all of the possibilities to create the time, money, and joy your heart desires deep down. Tune in as we guide you in reimagining your relationship with money. You can find us for further episodes at financialfitnessunleashed.com/podcast. Special note, we are accepting applications for season 2. We would love to support you on your journey with money mindset, leaving a corporate job to step into business for yourself, or discussing how to build wealth. If you want more guidance in any of these areas, you can apply to be on Her Money Club Stories today at financialfitnessunleashed.com/podcast. See you in there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 2 of Her Money Club Stories. This season, as I've mentioned, we are focusing on 3 main areas of possibility, one of which today really resonates with Becky, our guest, and that is journey to $100,000 and more and leaving corporate jobs. So we're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on her sharing her story and just the progress that she's made along that journey and what she's doing since she left her corporate job. So with that, I will leave it up to Becky to introduce herself and we'll take it from there.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Becky. I'm a life purpose coach. So basically, I help anyone who's unfulfilled in their careers discover and unleash their life purpose. I help them break through the number one thing that's holding them back from actually making that happen for themselves. And I also use a modality called human design, which is really one of the biggest breakthroughs in trying to get to self-mastery for yourself and really knowing yourself. So I incorporate that into my coaching. I basically come from, I guess now over 17 years in a corporate background. I was in project management in IT. I used to make a lot of money doing it. Never happy. I was never satisfied. I was very much on a spiritual journey my whole life. So you can imagine it was kind of like being in the closet in that kind of career. It's about, then not being able to completely be yourself, playing the game, being a chameleon, going against every value in my system, because really at the bottom of it all, I want to do is help humanity and to be able to uplift them and to be able to do things that I know that would, they can basically do good and to help humanity or the planet, or if they're into animals, anything like that. So I was always working for the big corporate giants in telecommunications, the big 4 banks here in Australia, and it really was a soul-sucking career in terms of losing myself too, and I pretty much became really checked out, and it was over time got really burnt out. So yeah, it was a combination of keep going because they want, the trade-off is that the value is that they pay you, but don't have a personality, don't have an opinion, don't do anything that they wouldn't do, and it's being silenced, and it's not who I am as a person. So that was what happened to me, and that was my career before. Even though I love the project management side of it, it wasn't the people that I wanted to work for. So yeah.
That resonates with me and many people in our audience. So
yeah.
I love that you do human design, and I'm really curious how you actually found human design and like what prompted you to utilize that in your coaching style.
Yeah, sure. So I found it a while ago, and usually when you open it, and it's quite daunting when you look at it, it's like, whoa, there's so much information. So you kind of read bits and pieces and go, yeah, but you can't really grasp it. And so through my own personal journey, putting like a lot into my own personal development through the years as well, I I knew that really at the core of everything, what I could help people with was their life purpose and really finding out what their unique gifts are that they bring to the world. And because of my project management background, I could actually help them start up with projects and also know how to transition them out from A to B. So that was my DNA makeup. I was also very spiritual. In any modality that was in spirituality, I've got my hands on it. So it came around again as I started doing my own coaching training and speaking to a few people in the community. And I thought, right, okay, I'm going to jump in and do a human design course. And it basically is absolutely everything that I coach on, like getting through your subconscious mind, like being able to reprogram that, like to understand like what is going on with all the limiting beliefs that you've been given, all the fears that you've been given, and be able to crack that code to be able to then get to, oh my gosh, in our DNA, there's actually a code to what we are born to do and our life purpose within that as well. So once I actually went into one of these webinars, I was like, this was made for me. And I just ran with it. And the more I still do a lot more training, you're never done with it. So as I go on that journey, I take my clients through that journey as well.
Wow, so, that's incredible. What is your human design type?
So I'm a manifesting generator.
Same.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. I was similar. So I've got a sacral inner authority. Are you emotional or sacral?
Sacral.
Sacral as well. Yeah. And I'm a 1-3 profile.
I'm a 1-4.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so it's quite similar.
Yeah.
It makes sense your call, which is why you're doing all these interviews and networking. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Okay, I want to transition into talking a little bit about your transition. So how you exited corporate life, because I think a lot of people are curious, and that's one of the biggest questions I get asked is like, how did you do it? Right. So I would love to hear, especially from the mindset angle and the money angle, like what was your mindset and how did you feel like it was finally ready or money ready to do that type of leap?
So I actually help people with the transition as well. And it's about basically, you don't have to do what I did, which was just one day really had enough and went, I can't do this anymore. And I guess what happened for me was through the whole journey, I always said, if I really knew what it was that I was meant to be doing with my life, if I really knew what it was, I'd be gone tomorrow. And every time I took on another contract, another client, I'm like, this is the last one. I swear I'm getting out. And then at the end of it, I was still no closer to what I wanted to do. But the problem is mindset wise, and this is probably going to really help your audience as well, was so wrapped up on the what and the how. The what, the how am I going to do it with what? Once you actually start to realize that those two are the wrong questions to ask yourself first. And the question is to ask yourself, what is my why? What is my purpose? What makes it's not just about like, follow your bliss, like people say, or do what you love. There's so much more to it. But when you can actually wake up and go, I know what it is that is worth fighting for every day. I know what it is that when I get up in the morning, that I'm actually being of service to the people I'm meant to be with. And I've got the gifts and the tools and I know how to do this. The what and the how doesn't matter. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, if you've got $5 in your bank account and you can't leave, like jump, like that's not what I'm saying, but it drives you to actually then figure out the what and the how after that. So for me, when it was, the pandemic was in full swing in about March 2020, we started working from home here in Australia, and about 10 or 15 different friends of mine from different places, they started being, you call it retrenched, we got redundant. They basically were losing their jobs because of the pandemic. And I was having conversations with all of them and started to say, well, why don't you do this or that? Or like I could really start getting into it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give back while I can and I've still got money. I'm going to create this small Facebook group. I'm going to do one on a Friday, come with everything. Let's have a whinge and a bitch about where you are. And let's see how we can all help, and like, let's network and start seeing how you guys can maybe form together to create something. And so I started naturally coaching people in that way. And because of the startup background that I had, I realized that all these years that I was miserable in the actual career I had, these tools are invaluable. I was like so grateful at the point for everything that I'd learned in business, and started to realize how important it was that my own intuitive and psychic skills were bringing it to the table to be able to read them as well. So naturally something started forming. Sorry, that's my cat running around. And naturally something started forming that was unique. And I thought, oh my God, I found it. And all of a sudden it was went from me going, well, I've been earning this much. If I don't know how to earn that much over there, then I'll jump. That's the next part, right? Because you get used to a certain lifestyle. So because I'm project manager, I was like, right, I've got an exit plan. I've got a transition plan. I'll do this till, for another 6 months. In that time, I'm going to do this for my business. I'm going to start doing a few coaching things for free with this group. So I build up my confidence and know that I'm really helping people. So I get the testimonials, and it was an energy exchange. And in the middle of all of it, I was getting more and more checked out of the real job that I was doing. And I had a really narcissistic boss at the time. And she wrote me one too many times. And I thought, just call me one more time. And that's a sign I'm meant to just get out of here now. Like, don't wait another 6 months. Just one more call, just do it. The phone rang 5 minutes later, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I just said, and I thought I have to lead by example. If I'm trying to help people get out of these situations, and this is what is my biggest pain point and the wisdom that I've gained from it, and this is what I'm trying to help people with, I'm not meant to be here anymore. And I know the universe has always got my back. I know it. Like, I've always been great with money. It's always come to me. I'm great at negotiation, and some people struggle with it, and that's okay. But if you can get into the mindset of knowing that there's something greater at play, that the universe has always got your back, that's the spiritual side of it, but there's also a practical side to it. So it's bringing those strategies together and knowing how to use those tools in your toolkit to be able to manifest something massive. Not saying it was easy, not saying that it was the most intelligent decision to do it at that time, but emotionally I was unshackled, I was free. I can't tell you that feeling, to know that I never have to go back to that again if I don't want to. And that's what propelled me forward. So that was, for me, the biggest unlocking gift I could have given to myself. And then, of course, the mindset of the lack mentality. Oh my God, where's the next client going to come in? Oh my God, you go through this whole roller coaster, and it goes up and down and up and down, and it's never this linear line, right? Yeah. But so for me, I guess that I knew that I've been working that hard for that long. I kind of achieved buying my own home. So I've got a really big mortgage. I've got all these overheads, but I had enough in the bank to say X amount of time, I can throw this away. I can give it my all. And if I must, like when giving myself that transition out, it wasn't a transition out, but a transition. So if I don't get to a certain point, I need to think about going back in or doing something different. Yeah. So I actually took about 4 or 5 months just investing myself heavily, more coaching, getting my coaching certificate, giving myself the time to set up the business, taking on free clients, and then I just went for it. And it was a slow, gradual process to get the money back in. It still is. But instead of, when I got to that point, I was like, oh my gosh, when I was getting really scared, I thought, all right, I'm really not meant to go back there. I've been shown that way. So how can I do this differently? And so then I morphed a little bit and thought, okay, I'm going to start doing project management and consulting for businesses with heart, for startups who actually want to do good in society and the planet, right? And I never went back to that corporate way. So now I've got a few clients that are through referrals and things like that. It's like using my old knowledge, my old network, to actually have that income coming in, as well as that while I'm building up my coaching practice. So that's how I did it. It's a bit unique, but I kind of go a million steps now for myself. Manifesting generators do that, right? We try a few different things, can handle it all. But I also know for my clients, there's not one right way. There's not one way to do this. And it's about how you feel comfortable and safe, but knowing that it's not about, don't just drop the how and the what. We'll get to that. Let's just find what lights you up and that fire in your belly every day, that you know that that's what you were here meant for, and it will come. That's the first problem to solve.
Yeah. I don't know if you experience this, but I think for me, and I still experience this daily, waking up, it's like this Christmas Day kind of feeling, like, ooh, yay, presents, right? Like when you're a kid, like this, like very joyous experience, and like so much gratitude waking up each day knowing that I can do whatever the fuck I want to do today. And I can show up, and I can be passionate, and I can be lit up by every single piece of my day. It's not perfect. I still have to do taxes and things I don't want to do, but like the majority of my time is spent doing all the things that I love. And I love that. Like that's priceless, right? Like I wouldn't trade that for the world.
And I'm curious because I think this is the part that, to your point of like, what questions are we asking ourselves? You're trying to worry about the resolve or the how part of it versus like the why part of it. Something that I did with myself and then do with my clients. So I'm curious how you navigated through this. It's kind of this risk management tool of looking at like, what is worst case scenario? Like if I quit my job and if I go into something that I love, even if I don't know what that looks like yet, and I somehow monetize the skills and the talents that I have, like what is really worst case scenario? And so kind of walking through like this laundry list of like, well, this could happen and that could happen. And like when we actually sit with the information that's going on in our mind and the fears that are really coming up, it's really not as bad as like the made up version that we're making it out to be. And you can always go back to doing the same old, right? Like we've been there, we've done that. It's not impossible, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like how you navigated that within your own mindset of this, the fears and the risk.
Yeah, I think for myself personally, I'm a risk taker anyway, calculated risk. I'm a calculated risk person. So, you know, during project management, we do a lot of that. Like before a project comes, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know what I'm saying? We do that all through I mean, I'm talking about, I was planning for 350 million plus projects to 1 billion. So you can imagine and it always comes down to money, right? So that's already for other people. Now, when you think about a bank or the telecommunication systems, it's like $20 to them really, but they still watch every cent. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I'm already, I guess because I came from a background where we have to go into all of that to start with, and I'm navigating that through for other people, to me, I was quite calm with things because what's the worst that could happen in terms of all of this, like speaking to people in corporate to get out of that mindset, right? On a personal level, for myself, I think, yeah, the first time I think I really felt it was, you know, going a few months in. And my plan, because I'm such a planner in project management, my project wasn't going to the timeline in plan because then again, like you, like I was like, oh, it takes a while to unwind, to actually not get up and know that you have to be stuck to your desk 9 to 7. And oh my gosh, I didn't start till 10 o'clock. Shame on me. Become that awful boss to yourself, right? Yeah. So it's first that deconditioning from the hustle, right? Number one. So we're such a hustle mentality, and it's like more to alignment. Now, if you get out of all the things you need to do and start being in the place of where the feeling of being on how you want to feel, to your point, right? What do you want to feel instead of all the things you need to do to be able to calculate that risk? And like you said, safety nets behind it. Worst comes to worst, like when your money gets to X point, do you start thinking about going back and getting a side job? Maybe it doesn't even have to be if you really feel sick about going back to what you used to, maybe you can actually get a job online now, like doing, I don't know, customer service from home in your pajamas for 20 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? It's then finding out what is it that you really don't want to do. And that's the fear, because either it's first identifying the fear. Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of not really surviving? Is it fear of really the future? Is it fear that you are not good enough? Is it fear? You see what I'm saying? And part of human design helps you uncover all these things. Then we know what fear to work with. Then blow it up to like, what is the worst thing that could happen? Then how do we mitigate that as a risk? Because that's what we do in project management. Oh, okay, yeah, well, I've got about 6 months that I don't have to worry about it. And then at 6 month mark, not when you have $0 left, it's at that point when it's gotten to a point you go, okay, now I have to do something else, that you still got that buffer in your account. And if you don't have any buffer, it's like, great, keep working on what you're doing now, or jump into something else that's still monetizing for you. Let's work out what that is, that but still invest in yourself to be able to get you out, because you won't be able to do it on your own. That's the one thing I know is once you get stuck in a rut and you think that you can actually do it, you just end up on that new hamster wheel and you can't see perspective. So it's really about getting the right help for you to be able to get you out of that situation. And there's no one size fits all. So what fears are we dealing with? How do we mitigate that? Because it's not real yet. Right now, you're sitting in your house, you've got a roof over your head, you've got food on the table, you know, whatever's going on. I'm not saying that some things aren't really real, especially in the pandemic that we saw, but generally right this second, we're okay.
Yeah. We're still alive and everything's, you know, still running around us. Yeah. I love that you brought up deconditioning from the hustle, because I am huge on that. And that is, again, part of the struggle of we've put ourselves in this box of it. This is how it's supposed to look. And especially coming out feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or burnt out in a career that didn't serve you. And at least for me, I don't know about you, like I didn't want that feeling again. So it was like almost doing the opposite. It's like, I'm going to work the littlest amount possible and try and get the biggest, paycheck possible. Right. And that also didn't serve me on the very far end, because it's like, okay, now I'm not even doing what I want to be doing from my impact standpoint. Like I want to help more people. Right. So in that first year, I definitely had to navigate the harmony of like how much time is spent and energy is spent. Even though I am a manifesting generator, I do like to have my hands in all the things. It's like, how can I play with that in a energetic way that allows me to spend my time wisely and not, again, go into burnout, but also not be bored.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you experienced that or.
And I think it's still, an interesting balance, because I think there's a part with manifesting generators where we're all or nothing people as well. So we like to skip a lot of steps with things. We don't like to do all the mundane, boring things. We want to get to the exciting part. So if something's like meh and it doesn't light us up, it's kind of like, I'm not doing that. And part of our whole strategy and authority also is we not necessarily, but the overall ultimate goal of manifesting generators and generators out there is to feel satisfaction, right? So what I did was went into going, does this make me feel satisfied? No. So I'm not going to do it, right? So and there's a part of that where it's like, you don't want to feel frustration. I get that. But then I had to then learn the part of flipping my thinking of, but will the end goal give me satisfaction rather than the task right now? Like
the task,
that particular task. But if it's something that I can see the bigger picture, and at the end of it, I'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I did that, instead of giving myself the way out because no, that doesn't satisfy my soul right now, so I'm not going to do it. So there was that game as well. So I went that way as well. And in terms of, for me, I love doing talks like this. It was the marketing side of things blew my mind. Like that part, I always thought when I left corporate, I was like, yeah, I know 80%, I knew the business side of things, 80% is marketing at least, and I just thought, that's where I'm outsourcing. I don't want to do any of it. And it's like, oh, hang on my own brand. That doesn't work, So it was like, I'm still trying to find that balance in because I really don't like doing a lot of it, but you have to do a lot of it. So it was kind of like, I washed my hands of it for a while. Yeah. And we all know what that does when you don't market in your business, right?
Right.
Or try and pay somebody else to offset. You can't when it's actually you that you're trying to sell, right? So it's still a dance that I'm learning in all of that. But, sometimes it's flow and sometimes I'm blocked, but I've got to just find the things that light my soul up. And I love connecting with people like you, having these chats. Am I the person to get up in the morning and go live? No, I'm not. And I know that about myself, right? I just go live on my own and just talk to that little red dot that's going. And it's like, that's not me. And it's weird because I thought, I'm not confident on camera. What is it? And it took me a while to get around. What is it? It's like, it's a weird way of doing something when you're just talking to yourself in your room and no one's talking back and trying to feel animated. And some people do it amazing. Great. That's their strength. It's not mine. And that's okay. But don't force something, but then also don't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? It was like this, it was like this whole learning experience for me, and definitely a mindset around that. Also, human design can help you with that, because there's a lot of gates that we understand within our throat chakra, and each one represents a different type of communication style, where your strengths are, and it lets you teach you what is your strengths and leave the rest. Yeah. So mine is around helping people with strategy, surprise, right? So talking about those kinds of things. And the other one is connecting on a one-on-one. So even though if I have a group, really my aim is not to try to go to the masses, but to actually connect one-on-one with people and have those conversations. Yeah. So that's what I've learned about myself in the process.
That's beautiful. And that helps too with like lead generation. I was doing a workshop earlier today, and that was, even though we were talking about money, what ended up really being what they needed to hear was from a lead generation standpoint, where do you find people, right? And everyone's a little bit different. Not all of us, to your point, are going to be showing up live on Facebook or Instagram every day and just doing the thing. It's like a lot of the clients I've gotten over the years have been through referrals. So just knowing that about myself and knowing that that's how I am going to attract other people, it's focusing on that and how can I add more and more value to the people that I already know around me. And that's what's going to expand my network, is those people. So it could be 5 people, it could be 10 people, it doesn't even have to be a lot of people. It's just knowing that that's really important, and networking for the sake of these conversations, right? Not networking for the sake of like constantly trying to get clients, because I don't need that many clients to do what I do. So
yeah. And the 4 actually in your profile is actually about doing that on a smaller scale. It's, you've got that natural ability to connect people. You've got the natural ability to actually bring in smaller networks. It's more like a tribe, not the collective. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So it's actually exactly to your strength of what you're here and meant to do. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I had to realize that through trial and error, right? It's again, this deconditioning of like, oh, well, my marketing coach told me to go out and do lives at once a week and blah, 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 right? And it's like, okay, that's cool. I can do it. I like being on camera and video. Like, that's not a problem, but it doesn't feel satisfying, right? And it's not getting this, you know, supposed result that I'm looking for, which if I'm going to do this, I want 10,000 people to fucking see it. Right. And so that's defeating the whole purpose. But where I really get like these juicy conversations and experiences from is meeting with 4 people, 10 people, 15 people max. It's like, hello, just do that over and over and over in workshops. And like, those are your people. So yeah, it's trial and error.
I think it's really important for this audience and anyone who's watching it, because this is something that hits so many people, that even the confidence thing some people think is not their ability to go out and do something new or try something new. But then once they get that their gifts are all of that, this area, what we're talking about right now, people aren't even aware even yet what it's going to do when it gets to this point. And so, yeah, like that's why I've got clients that are in marketing. I've got clients who are digital marketing agencies, who are, solopreneurs in marketing. They do this for other people. They can't do it for themselves. So and that's the thing is, for me, and I've got great advice for marketing for other people, but when it comes to my business, oh my God, like it's it's just, I've got all these ideas, but then I get blocked myself. It's almost like that. I guess it's more of an emotional attachment to your own business, or just nailing it. Whereas when you get back and have the bigger picture for other people, I can see a clear pathway for them. It's just like, and that's not even my area of expertise. I'm just like, well, why can't I do that for myself? Like, why? And it's interesting because until you get into this, you don't even know what you don't know yet about yourself in this area. It's really interesting. And my one advice to people out there is play to your strengths, because I promise you, whatever you came to the table with prior to listening to 20,000 gurus out there and trying everything and thinking you have to be everything and everywhere to get all this business through the door, you end up doing a full cycle to realize to come back to your authentic self and do what you do naturally. You have to go through the entire cycle to realize it's not you. And the one thing that I can give my clients is within human design readings, through the coaching, is let's figure out who you really are at your core, your strengths and all that stuff. And guess what? You get to leave the rest. You don't even have to do it. And that's so exciting for people, because they can then feel confident in themselves and what they need to do. Yeah.
And release a lot of stuff that doesn't serve them in the process.
Exactly. So when it comes to, I've done, I don't know how many marketing courses, marketing coaches, marketing groups, mastermind, all of it. And it's like, I've still just come back to, I don't want to do half these things that these people are doing. And it's actually serving me a lot better. And that part about hustling was actually then bringing them to the business, of all those things, forgetting what I did do well, right? Spending all my time on the wrong things in the end. Yeah. And then getting no results when I was getting results before. Right. So I know where you're coming from. So yeah, and until you go through it, probably it doesn't resonate for people, and then go, oh, should have done it that way. But I'm really trying to help people to like not have to do what I did, what most people do.
Skip over the hardship for sure.
Yeah.
I want to transition and talk a little bit about, okay, since leaving corporate and being in your business, how long have you been out of corporate and in your business now?
I left corporate in end of June 2020, and I started getting paying clients and started my group up in December 2020. So I was still doing the kind of free for my first group as a test run. So but paying clients in December, yeah.
Yep. And how, from a money standpoint, because I know a lot of people feel the roller coaster, right? Like you get paid, you don't get paid, all this stuff. How are you feeling about all of that? Like financially, within your money mindset, how is that going so far?
Yeah. I'll say the first 6 months, I felt sick to my stomach about it the whole time, even though I knew I had banked money. It's just that my plan for the transition just went out the window, and then I just kept kind of thinking, well, if I did it that way, I would have been, I wouldn't be worried. It doesn't matter when you do it. It's always gonna, it really doesn't. So that it was me trying to make myself feel like, oh, I had the perfect plan. No, there's no such thing as a perfect plan, right? So we know that. In terms of the way that I had enough savings, I had a few properties, and I decided for comfort, I'm going to sell one property and bank that, but it's not allowed to be spent. Like that was just like my safety net. X amount can go to my business, but after that point, I'm not like spending my whole, like, you know what I mean, everything that I've done in the past to go into something and then get into that spiral, because I've seen it so many times with people.
Yep.
So it started to build up slowly, like towards the end of last year. It took a good year, like to get a bit of momentum. Let's just put it that way. It's not exactly, I don't think we're ever where we really think is like, ultimate, because our goals keep changing.
Right.
But do I live comfortably now? Yes. But what I had to do was I actually reintroduce the project management and consulting side part-time for clients that I want to work for. And as that transitions even more, I'll probably do that less, unless I really love the client. But I'm doing probably 20 hours a week of consulting work for 3 different clients that just give me bits and pieces at the moment. So that was really, once I made that decision that I didn't want to go back, and I opened myself up in my mind, so like, this stuff always comes to me. This is the stuff I manifest. So now all I just want is people that I actually want to work for. Excuse me. So, and then referrals started coming, and then because I started talking about them, I didn't even advertise it anywhere. I just thought, right, I'm open to it again. And I just thought, we're in a place where I don't have to go into an office anymore. It's global. The whole world's changed. So many other people have gone solo. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought, I'm putting it out there for what I want, and it just started to trickle in. So now I'm at a place where, I'm building, I'm just, I'm beyond breaking even on what it costs me to live finally. But it gives me also the room to now get my group program that I want off the ground. And once that gets going properly, I can see that it'll just be a full transition into coaching.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I appreciate your vulnerability and honesty around that topic, because I think a lot of people think it's just like gangbusters when you exit and like you make 100K in your first year, and it's just like follow the things. And it's not, it's a transitioning period mentally to even, like to our point earlier, like decondition, right? Which I think is a full 6 or 8 month process realistically. And then it's like, okay, now you can start doing everything that lights you up. And there's a momentum process around that to actually get out of like the roller coaster from income standpoint. So yeah, easily 2 years of just experimenting, playing, figuring it out, and releasing a lot of the fears.
And I think too, like you see a lot of people who, like even the 1%ers who are out there advertising, that are really doing it in their first or second year. There are some people who do it anyway, you know what I'm saying? So let's call them the 1%ers who do it.
Yeah.
But even then, like they'll start taking more calculators, and they might lose everything in their 5th year.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not that they've got more money to play with to lose, I guess, at that point. But what I'm saying is that even when people think that they've got it in 1 or 2 years, it's still a learning process on how to grow. It's constant. And really the foundation, I think, for all of it is to know yourself first before you start a business. And part of that is the deconditioning that we're talking about. Part of it is knowing your fears, where your safety net feels like, and all of those kinds of things, because that's just the survival part. But your business itself is you. It's a branch of you. It's energetically you. So if you're thinking that, oh my God, I just hate this job, but I'm just going to go and do that for myself, and because that's what you know what you're going to do, you're going to bring that same energy into the business. It's not going to be, probably you're going to find for a year or two, it's exciting, you're in your pajamas, you're working at home, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. And then you're going to start going, right, I'm bored, I need a challenge, I'm not liking the clients I'm working with, I'm not, it's all those kinds of things, because you haven't done the work on you. So there's two parts to that component. There's the money bit, that if it overtakes you and you're constantly worried, and generally it's the overachievers, right, in corporate. It's overachievers because they're future-paced thinking. They can never be present, you know what I mean? It's always about the goalposts moving, making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're really good at what they do. So the hustle mentality comes back in. So you're going to hustle in your business, and you're going to hustle in thinking that there's never enough food on the table or whatever, you know what I mean? Because you don't know when that steady paycheck's coming in. And even if it is, it's going to grow. It's like, that's still not enough. I want all these other things. So you continuously hustle, right? So generally it's those high achievers that need this the most, to spend that time on themselves and understand where they're at, what they want to bring, and not get out of that mindset money that's all that matters. And also about really knowing themselves at the core in terms of what lights them up, because that's the thing that they don't have in their lives. That's the part that's missing, that they're actually searching for.
Yeah. There's a, do you follow Joe Dispenza at all?
Yeah,
I love Joe. I love Jody. He has a really good YouTube video on motivations, levels of motivation, and he speaks into this. Money motivation is on the scale of 5 to 1, like level 3, and we're all conditioned to be money motivated, but that's not the highest level of motivation. There's like 2 others in between that, the highest of which is like this impact motivation, like what type of impact do you want to have in the world, and connection, and the love vibration, all those things, right? And he talks into all of the different levels. And so it's just really powerful to even know that information. Like, we've all been conditioned to focus so much on the money motivations, and that's not our highest level of motivation. So that's even something I like to bring up, because I think so many people just need to be aware that there's more to this. And some people are in tune with that, like they inherently know that, but they can't articulate that. And so even knowing and trusting that, like, yeah, that's a thing. It's just everyone around us is surrounded by this money motivation mentality, and we have to all decondition the narrative around that. So
yeah, and there's a little bit more to that too. I think for these people that we're really talking about, it's always beating a personal best, right? There's that mentality, and it comes from a wounding of not enoughness. They're not enough. Nothing's ever enough. I'll never have enough, right? But the thing is, why the goalposts keep moving is to be a high achiever, you've got to do better every year. Otherwise you beat yourself up, right? So with that as well, how are you ever going to get out of that if that's the thing? And what I've noticed with the people that I work with that are in this bracket, because I have quite a few clients like this, is I'll ask them, it's like, okay, if you want to leave and you just think that at a certain point you'll get out, and then that goal keeps changing. So do you really know, and this is the obvious one, do you really know what it costs you to live just day to day, that like just to have everything going, and then just to actually add in, and then I bet you still have more than enough if you actually want to go to the movies, take your kids here, whatever, like do a bracket like that. I just said, have you ever broken it down money step wise, what it just costs you weekly, monthly, whatever, what you need in your hand to actually live? And most of them actually say, oh no, but they're so good with numbers, but what they're worrying about is this year I'm going to have another 30,000 in the bank. So their trajectory is about where it's going, rather than if you want to step away from this, it doesn't cost you that much to live. Look at this buffer that you've built for yourself all your life, that you can actually then go, I could actually comfortably live and my kids for probably 5 years without even getting another penny in the bank like this. Yep. That's the starting point to understand you got a 5-year buffer or whatever it looks like, and go from there, because you being a high achiever will actually get to those goals. Maybe it won't be in the first year, maybe not the second. Do you see what I mean? But you're going to be fine. And that's really the starting point for a lot of people to understand how to transition out as well.
Just to shift the mindset around the money piece of it. Agreed wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Good stuff. This has been fabulous. As we wrap up, I would love for you to share how people can find you, and if you want to share any programs you have coming up or any specific people you want to share the programs with.
Sure. So I've got a Facebook group called The Consciouspreneur, if anyone wants to join and is interested in that. I have one-on-one coaching at the moment. I'm coming up to a group coaching program. So all the good stuff that we've been talking about. And so how do you discover your life purpose and your mission, and actually then get it from, if you don't know what idea it is that you want to do, to actually get to a point that you are really sure about what it is to do next. And I'm putting it into a group program. There's a human design element for all of it. I give human design readings one-on-one if you're interested in that. They're 90-minute readings. Probably the best way to reach me is either my Facebook, which is Becky Cohen. I could probably put a link onto my personal Facebook if you want to send me a message, or you can email me at becky@theconsciousrevolution.com.au.
Perfect. Yes, I will put all of those links in the show notes. And I just want to thank you for showing up and sharing just so much authenticity with your journey and the way in which you navigated it, because I think that's a really powerful story to share. And I just appreciate you for all of that you shared today.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome being on your show. Loved it.
Yeah.
See you
Awesome.
later. Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you.